welcome to part 2 of the 3-part mini-series called The Truth About Binge Eating. I'm Leanne Lisbon from Mind Over Muffin, and I'm an emotional eating expert for women who are looking to kick that habit for good and doing it a whole different way without having to diet, restrict food, do all that crazy stuff. So today we are following on from yesterday, which we got stuck into kind of discussing things that the diet industry didn't really tell you. So I hope that made sense. If you didn't see that video, go back and watch that first and then move on to this one. So I hope from yesterday, if you did watch it, that you learned that maybe if you're not getting the results with weight loss and food and things that you want, that maybe diets are not the answer because they are missing a crucial part that is going to work for you, and that is addressing what is happening in here. Also, it's very important to remember that the minute you deprive yourself and restrict yourself on a diet, you want to eat that food 100 times more, and it actually kind of creates the binge. You know, you put the restriction onto food, then all you want to do is you want to eat all the foods that you're told you can't have. So there's a lot of things with diets that did not work for me in the past, and that is kind of what I want to share with you guys throughout this series and in that past episode. So today, what we are delving into, so there's one thing I mentioned yesterday was that if you want to heal your relationship with food in your body, there's a few things you have to address. Number one, why you are doing what you're currently doing around food in your body. 2, where you learnt it. 3, how to change it. So today we are delving into where you learned this behavior, where this kind of emotional driver to want to eat when you're not physically hungry comes from. So there's a few things that I want you to take away from this video, and is that anything you are currently experiencing in your life right now is a result of something that you went through in the past, or your past thinking, or your past programming, or your past conditioning. So you might be experiencing the problem and the symptom of the problem right now. Maybe you kind of catch yourself overeating. Maybe you're backwards and forwards to the cupboard when you're watching TV. Maybe every time you're in the car you want to eat a chocolate bar. Maybe you have a stressful day at work and you can't wait to get home and just eat something. Or maybe you get the kids to bed and then it's your time in the evening to sit down, have some food, and it makes you feel good, right? So we can be running all these habits currently, but in order to heal it, we really have to look at where has this come from, and that will have come from somewhere in the past. So today I want to help you start to understand how some of the things that we go through in childhood can lead to what we're experiencing right now, because what we don't realize is we have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. I want you to think of your mind like an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is the conscious part of the mind. This is the part you see. This is the part you're aware of. But under the iceberg, that big foundational part, is your unconscious mind. And this part of your mind is the part that is running your emotions, your beliefs, your thought processes, your habits, your behaviors, the things you do, your body, your heartbeat, your breathing, like everything is running all of that. And so this is where any emotional eating, binge eating, boredom eating, stress eating, secret eating, any of that is actually being driven from. And this is why it can feel really hard to change, is because it's hardwired in here, like this unconscious kind of neural pathways that are just rooted in there, right? So I want you to think of it that, sure, the behavior might be playing out now, and the behavior might have been triggered over the years by emotional events and things that you've been through. You know, maybe you have a really stressful time and you turn to food. Maybe you've had a really sad time, you turn to food. Maybe it's been a time you've been really lonely, you've turned to food. And food has served its purpose there, and it's given you that distraction, that coping mechanism in the moment. But what I want you to know is that the seed of that was planted way back in childhood somewhere, or when you were a lot younger anyway. And that seed, when it is planted over time, as we water it starts to grow its roots, and it gets in, and we keep watering it, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and it flourishes into this bigger thing that then we get 10, 20 years down the line, and this thing feels like it's really taken over, and it's kind of everywhere, right? And it, you know, that's how most of us then get to the point where we're like, I need to do something about my eating habits because this is not working for me right now. So what we want to look at is that seed. Where was that planted? What was it? How did it happen? So I want to give you guys, it's going to be very unique to you as an individual, but hopefully something that I share here today will start to spark some light bulb moments of maybe that's where it's come from for me. So to give you an insight, these are some very common examples that I have seen come up with the women that I've worked with over the years in this space. So for example, if as a kid food was restricted, maybe there wasn't much money growing up, and so food was very limited. There wasn't much food that you could have. So what this can result in is when you grow up and you suddenly start earning your own money, you move out, you have freedom with food, you just want to buy everything. If something was so restricted, it leads to wanting to eat more. Another reason why diets don't work, because you restrict, you want more. If as a kid there was a lot of sibling rivalry and competition over food, it can lead to kind of eating really fast or kind of hiding food. Maybe you used to store food in your room and keep it as a secret and go and eat it secretly. And I want you to realize that any pattern you run as a child, you're unconsciously running now. Because the unconscious mind has no concept of time. It doesn't know that you're not that 5, 6, 7-year-old little kid anymore. We only know that consciously. The mind just runs on programs, habits and behaviors. So whatever was programmed back then, your computer system is still running on some level. Even though consciously you might know there's no competition anymore, food's not restricted anymore, food's not limited anymore, but unconsciously the mind doesn't know that, right? So things like that can happen. If maybe as a kid and this is so common, maybe you have children now and you do this to your children. Maybe if you had a bad day at school, or maybe you're upset, and then your parent or guardian or whoever, it's like, it's okay, everything's okay, let's go to McDonald's, that'll make you feel better, or here, let's go to the shop, get some sweets. Boom, there's a connection. Food makes me feel better. Food makes me feel good. Food takes away pain. Food is happiness, right? And it's all it takes in that moment for that seed to be planted. Then what happens as you get older and you grow, then every time you have a stressful day, something's hard, something causes you pain or sadness, your mind wants to run the path of least resistance, which means it will fire the pattern that it knows will get it the result. So if it happened once before, food made you feel better, it will fire that pathway again, an actual neural pathway in your mind. And it goes, cool, how can we get that kick of happiness? How can we get that kick of comfort? How can we distract ourselves? Boom, let's do that again. The more it runs that hardwired pattern, it becomes more and more and more ingrained, and it starts to happen on autopilot. And then that's when we get to the point where we're like, why can't I control this? I just want to eat. And most women will say to me, I don't know why I want to eat, I just want to eat. And that's true, they don't know consciously why, because this pattern was created years and years ago. So whatever we experience around food as a kid will definitely still be playing out today. So it's really important to look at, how was food, what was going on around food for me as a kid? What was it like? Was food restricted? Was it limited? Was there competition? Was it used as a reward? Was it used to make me feel good? Were mum and dad too busy and had no time for me, and so food was just the gap filler for me? Was food a big part of our culture? Was it, that's how we show love in our family, eat more, eat more? Were mum and dad snacking all the time? Did they set any rules around food, or was there no rules around food? Because all of this is playing a role. Did you grow up seeing mum or dad diet obsessively? Were they exercising a lot? Did they talk nicely about themselves and their body, or did they put themselves down? So all of these things are going to be playing a role. So if you can start to look at where you learned this behaviour and start to look at, again, it's all about awareness, bringing this awareness to the present moment. Maybe this isn't actually my habit or my belief that I want to be running. Maybe this was what mum or dad or someone taught me, that food is comfort, but maybe I don't want to actually believe that anymore. And so we can get a lot of perspective, and we can start to shift the behaviour when we really look at where this has come from. Now, there can also be past events that we've gone through, you know, emotional things that have led to how we relate to food in our body right now. You know, when I went through that breakup and was cheated on, and I had a lot of emotion that started to drive the need for food to make me feel better. I also then developed a lot of became very self-conscious about my body and lost a lot of confidence because I felt I wasn't good enough from what happened. And so again, this was all playing a role. So we have to look at where has this stuff come from, looking at where we were conditioned in terms of childhood, but then also over life, what has happened that has been a trigger that has brought out the behaviour from that seed that was planted. So I want you to spend some time today and actually think back, take out your journal, think back to childhood. What was I taught as a kid? You know, what did I experience? What is still playing a role today? What patterns can I see that are still playing out today that mirror what was playing out at childhood? So have a good think about that, guys. It's a really powerful exercise. Let me know if you have questions, email me, DM me, wherever you're watching this video. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, your questions. I'm here to support you guys. I hope that made sense. I hope it gives you some insights. I hope it gives you a new way of thinking about this. I will be seeing you tomorrow for part 3 of our series. I will see you then, guys. Thank you for watching.